You know, one of the things that was bothering me in the last couple of years, I was doing some consulting for Wallops Island in Virginia on NewSpace, and I was watching my home state of Texas not just languish and not get on the rocket ride of NewSpace, but actually the congressional delegations that were somewhat fighting against commercial space activities were actually led by Texans. Oh, it was worse than that. It was Republicans. You know, the same people that were against socialized medicine would walk out and breathe in the vacuum of space and be for socialized space. And it was just very confusing to me and depressing. I come from a frontier background in Texas, and what occurred to me was, look, all my friends, and I've been helping, but my friends have been leading the charge, fighting the battles in Washington to protect commercial space. Why not leap over the front lines, go back and change the orders that are being given to the congressional delegation from Texas? In other words, change the conversation there, so that Texas isn't the kind of place that is spending its time protecting an old federal facility, but is about inventing a new commercial space industry. So I went down there and we started talking, and I put together a team. We introduced this idea of a space state. What is a space state? Well, a space state is a state where the state and local governments and their congressional delegations are actively engaged in the promotion and development of a commercial space industry, not just the promotion and development and/or defense of a federal space facility. So by that token, Texas is not a space state. It's all built around Johnson Space Center. We sent that off to some people in the local Texas Senate. They sent it off to the governor. Next thing you know, we're meeting with people from the governor's office who were saying to us, we want to be a space state. How do we do that? So we started working on it. And we were going to introduce a liability immunity law to protect companies who carry passengers or participants into space from lawsuits. Lo and behold, all of a sudden we get this call from Blue Origin, Jeff Bezos' company. They don't talk to anybody, so it was kind of exciting to get a call. And it turned out they were already working on supporting a piece of legislation like that. So yeah, it's like that old scene in Monty Python where the Frenchman talks to the knight searching for the Holy Grail from the wall and goes, "We've already got one." You know, they already had the bill, so we got behind them. Within a few days from the moment of this interview, that law should be passed. So we haven't publicly announced the organization. This little talk I'm going to be doing here is going to be the very first time that I really talk about it in public. We're going to go for zero G, zero tax legislation. We're trying to get enterprise zones created around Johnson Space Center and Ellington Field to build on the legacy of the incredible legacy that we have at Johnson Space Center. Get new space companies in, and then of course the crowning jewel would be a Texas spaceport, or ports. We want to do one inland suborbital spaceport, and then a coastal orbital spaceport, or what I call the Texas Interplanetary Spaceport.
So you got Cornyn for suborbital, maybe, or
where's this?
Cornyn.
Cornyn.
Cornyn Ranch. Where Armadillo is now, is that the suborbital
yes.
that you're thinking
in Greenville?
of?
Well, you know, Jeff Bezos has a hunk of Texas the size of Long Island that he's flying out of. Armadillo's out there in Greenville, Texas. They're flying out of an old airport. What we're talking about is a fully designated one with long runways, you know, and that would be inland.
So a state backed, like Spaceport America in New Mexico.
To some degree. I think, though, this may end up being commercial from the ground up. Oh, this is going to, excuse my language, going to kick Spaceport America's ass. We're looking at an orbital commercial spaceport on the coast of Texas that'll go after Cape Canaveral. That's the goal.
Better weather.
Better weather, and if we're starting it commercial from the ground up, we don't have to deal with the Air Force, you know, the pre-existing NASA.
Between Corpus Christi and Brownsville?
There's several candidates. So we brought on
what's that big ranch there?
King Ranch?
Yeah.
Down towards Harlingen is one area.
Padre Island?
Padre Island, shooting out over Padre, the uninhabited part. We have brought in a flight dynamics officer from former NASA flight dynamics officer who was one of the people that calculates the launch trajectories for the space agency. He's looked at several places, ways we can get up and down, and So we're looking at that. You know, this is the kind of thing that's going to take a while. It's going to take a lot of study, but I firmly believe that if we wake up the sleeping giant of Texas, it may take a few kicks to the head, but if we can do that, then a lot of things are going to happen. And I'm looking at it as maybe the tipping point for the movement, for the cause. If I can transform the way Texas looks at itself, then that means that the way that their congressional delegation operates will change. That means that's going to free up a lot of legislative opportunities for NASA to fund and be involved with commercial space. And if at the same time we can catalyze and create a competitive Texas space industry and get Virginia, Texas, California, New Mexico all racing with each other, it might be a tipping point moment for the industry.